Alright guys, I want you to take a few minutes and I want you to go ahead and see if you can remember what an acute angle, right angle, obtuse angle, and complementary and supplementary angles are. I want you to go ahead and try to define them, and I want you to find some examples from your pictures up here. If you want to go ahead and pause the video and try that now, we will come back with the answers. Alright guys, acute angle. An acute angle is an angle that is less than 90 degrees. So if you put that, great job. An acute angle is less than 90 degrees. I'm going to give you one example of an acute angle. One of the acute angles that I found was angle 6, because angle 6 is less than 90 degrees. Are there more? Yeah, there's more. Let's look at right angle. We should all remember right angle. Right angle is an angle that is exactly 90 degrees. There's the right angle. 6 plus 7. Angles 6 and 7 form a 90-degree angle, a right angle. Yes, if you put angle 5 is also a right angle. Let's look at obtuse. Obtuse is an angle that it's greater than 90 degrees, but it's also less than 180 degrees. So an example that I found was angle 4. I can tell that obtuse, angle 4, is an obtuse angle. Complementary angles. A way to remember complementary angles is you give someone a compliment, that means you're being nice to them. And nice starts with the letter N, and complementary angles measure 90 degrees. They are the sum of two angles where the sum is 90 degrees. So if we were to add angle 6 and angle 7, that would give us, those are complementary angles, because together those two angles create a complementary angle where the sum is 90 degrees. Now supplementary. Supplementary is the two angles, and this time the sum is 180 degrees. So when we look at this, we know that 180 degrees, straight lines make 180 degrees. So when I look for this, I see a straight line right here. So my example is angle 1 and angle 2 create a supplementary angle, which would measure 180 degrees. That's all a review. That's stuff we should already be knowing. So if you don't know it, make sure you study it. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to focus on today's new assignment. Alright, if we look, we see that line segment, or line A, is parallel to B. Those two lines right there mean parallel. Parallel lines go on and on and on, and they never touch. Okay, so I want you to take a highlighter if you have one, and I want you to highlight line A and highlight line B. Those lines are parallel because they will never ever intersect. They will keep going and going and going. Now if you have another color, I want you to take that marker and see this line that cuts through that I'm making green? That is called a transversal. That's called a transversal. A transversal is a line that it cuts through parallel lines. Transversal. So we have our parallel lines, and our transversal is line D. We're going to take a minute and go over these explanations about each of these vocabulary words. before we get started, I want you to go ahead and I want you to think of two symbols. Hearts and stars is what I'm going to use. You could use a circle and a dot. And what I want you to do is I want you to match mine. So I'm going to draw a heart here and a heart here on opposite sides. I'm going to draw a star, and then on the opposite side I'm going to draw a star. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. A heart and a star. And then a star and a heart. Throughout our learning, we're going to learn that the hearts equal the hearts, and we're going to learn the math vocabulary for that. And we know that a heart plus a star is going to equal 180 degrees. So let's go ahead and look. It says angle 8 and the angle marked 40 degrees. So I want you to put your pencil on those. Angle 8 and the angle marked 40 degrees. So they're both hearts. Okay, these are called vertical angles. See how vertically they're across from each other? So they are called, their name, mathematical name is vertical angles. And we know that since we have a heart and a heart, we know that they are congruent or equal. And so we could write the measure of angle 8 is congruent to 40 degrees. So that means that measure of angle 8, that means that if this angle is 40 degrees, then this angle is 40 degrees. Let's try the next one. It says angle 5 and angle 8. So let's take our pencil and point at angle 5 and point at angle 8. These are on opposite sides of our transversal lines. Okay, these are opposite sides of our transversal. So they have the vocabulary word alternate because they are on alternate sides of the transversal. Okay, this is the exterior portion of our parallel lines because exterior means outside. Don't judge my spelling. I'm bad at spelling, so just go with the flow. And these are the interior. So exteriors on the outside of my parallel lines and interiors on the inside of my parallel lines. So let's look again at angle 5 and angle 8. Angle 5 and 8. We know that they're alternate because they're on alternating sides of the transversal. So they are called alternating interior angles. And let's look at the symbols that we had. Angle 5 was a heart and angle 8 was a heart. So we know, based on our statement over here, that they are equivalent or congruent. Equal and congruent mean the same thing. And we can write our angle statement. The measure of angle 5 is equal to 40 degrees. All right, guys, we're almost done. Hang in there. Now we have angle 1 and angle 8. Let's touch angle 1 in our picture. There's our heart. And we're going to touch angle 8. So we touch angle 8. These are on the same side of our transversal, and they're both hearts. So since they're both hearts, we can assume that they are equal. We just have to figure out the mathematical name for it. So angle 1 and angle 8. Remember, with similar figures, we talked about corresponding sides and corresponding angles. If we look, these are sitting in the same location. Therefore, the mathematical name is corresponding angles. And we've already stated that they are equal because they both have the heart. So we need to learn that corresponding angles are equal. So we could write our statement and say that the measure of angle 1 is equal to 40 degrees. Now we have angle 9 and angle 5. Let's go ahead and touch angle 9. Angle 9 has the star. It's on this side of the transversal to the right. Now we have angle 5. Let's go ahead and touch angle 5. Angle 5 has a heart. So since it has a heart and a star, we know, based on our statement we did earlier, is that the sum, when we add those angles together, the sum will equal 180 degrees. The sum will equal 180 degrees. Guess what? We've learned consecutive integers earlier this year, and we said that consecutive means it goes in order. So when we look here, what's the next angle after angle 5? Angle 9, because that is the next angle that comes in order. Okay, what is consecutive to angle 9? The next consecutive angle would be 40 degrees. What's consecutive to angle 8? Looking at angle 8, what's consecutive to angle 8 is angle 12. So when we look at our statement, angle 9 and angle 5, we know that those are consecutive angles, because they go in order. What angle is next? So we know that the measure of angle 9 plus 40 degrees creates a straight line, which gives us 180 degrees. So the measure of angle 9 is equal to 140 degrees, because 140 plus 40 degrees equals 180. Let's look at another one. Angle 9 and angle 12. If you look, they're diagonally across from each other, and they both have a star. We've already done one like this. Since they're diagonally across from each other, we say that those are vertical angles. And we know, since they are both stars, that those angles are equivalent or congruent. So we can say that the measure of angle 12 is equal to 140 degrees. Let's do one more. I know you're out of room on your box, but we're going to add one more in the bottom. Let's look at the angle 1, and let's look at our 40-degree angle. So let's touch angle 1 right here, and let's touch the angle marked 40 degrees. If you notice, these are on opposite sides of our green line. They're on opposite lines of our transversal. So since they're on opposite sides of our transversal, we call those alternate. They are on alternating sides. Now, since they're alternate, we have to determine if they are inside our parallel lines or outside our parallel lines. So when we look, our yellow lines are our parallel lines. These two angles are outside of our parallel lines. Therefore, they are named alternate exterior angles. And since they both have a heart, we know that they are congruent or equal. So we can say that the measure of angle 1 is 40 degrees, because alternating exterior angles are congruent. We're going to do some more practice together on the next page.